Hi there, I'm Dani, spiritual therapist, and I am just delighted on this Sunday afternoon in early February 2022 to bring two new friends into the playground with me. Michael Harrell and Brian Bland with a show on YouTube, which you've got to check out. It's called Pork and Beans. Guys, please sing your little song.
Pork and beans
in a can.
Pork and beans.
Oh man.
Pork and beans.
In a
Man.
can. We love pork and beans. Bottom. Handy, handy, handy. Oh, candy, candy, candy. In a pan. I don't know the words anymore.
Oh, that was perfect, darling. Perfect.
In a can, in a pan, man. We love pork and beans.
Oh man. Hey, I thought I was getting top billing. Oh well, I guess it's too late now. I'll just have to later.
Guys, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. And to you guys out there, today we are here to talk again about the beautiful, beloved Sasquatch. Who she and he be, what they are, where they're from, how you can see them. And these guys have so many stories. I have no idea how long this is going to go. We're just going to play. We're going to have fun. And we're going to bring you the joyous knowledge that has been held back, but not on this channel. All right. So Michael Harrell, I'm going to introduce you first, my darling. Please say who you are and what you do.
I'm Michael Harrell. I'm a retired carpenter and I play on the internet. That's what I do. I have a healing modality, so I'm kind of into the whole healing scene, and I'm into the Sasquatch people. I've been on craft before, and in my life I've met 4 enlightened men before I met a Sasquatch, and I can tell you from my experience of meeting actual God realized men that the Sasquatch are the highest walking animal on the planet. The whales and the dolphins are way up there too, but in terms of consciousness and God realization, the Sasquatch people are up there. I call them archangel class earth spirits. Archangel class earth spirits.
Wonderful. Can I ask you, Michael, because you just mentioned it, you said that you've met 4 God realized men. What do you mean by that? And can you tell us who they were? You don't have to.
Well, yeah. The first guy I met was sort of like a hippie in the Coconut Grove, Florida, and he was from Colorado or someplace like that. And I had no idea, zero idea what an enlightened man is. An enlightened man is like when somebody goes into samadhi, right? There's a light that comes on inside of you. So you see the light of God inside of you, right? But an enlightened man, the light never turns off. Okay, they are there. So there's a difference. Like I have had God realization, means I've got up to where I can see the light, and then it comes back down for a few seconds or for a minute or something. And that's God realization. But an enlightened man, the light is on all the time. And so that means they're the kingdom of heaven, the lights are on, somebody's home, So that was the first guy. It was really interesting. What was interesting about him was I just spent the afternoon with this guy driving around in my car. And then that was like on Sunday or something. And then the next day, the whole transmission blew out of my car, right?
Right.
And it was from his spiritual pressure.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on. So I went and got the car fixed, and the transmission guy says, well, I've never seen a transmission. This is a brand new transmission we put in there. I've never seen a transmission where all the seals got blown out of it. So that was that guy. But what was interesting about that, I was going to junior college at the time.
Mm.
And so that was like on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm driving towards the college, right? And I got to about 2 miles from the college, and I started hearing voices in my head. I'm going, what are these voices in my head? And I pulled up to a stop sign and rolled down the windows, rolled up the windows, turned the car off. I could still hear these voices in my head. And then as I drove closer to the junior college, it got louder. I parked in the parking lot and I walked up towards my class was on the other side of the library. So I walked around the side of where the library was. And when I looked inside the library, there was all these people reading books. And I was listening to the people reading their books from 2 miles away.
Wow. Wow.
That's what happens with an enlightened being, is like just being around that guy for like 4 hours an afternoon.
Yeah.
And so
Elevates.
that guy really radically changed my life. And that's when I understood that it's when you're a higher vibration, you can mind speak, or you can hear what people say.
Mhm.
The second thing that happened because of this first enlightened man that I met was, this whole mind speak thing is a big deal with the Sasquatch community, because there's the people who don't believe and the people who've had it. The second thing that happened, and this is really profound, is I was walking up to my friend, one of my friends at lunch, and I said, hey, this thing happened to me. I met this enlightened guy, and then I can hear all these people. And as I'm walking closer to the guy, right, I got within arm's length, 6 feet or so away from him. And I was still being enthusiastic, talking about how I can hear people think, and he was cool. I said, oh, that's cool. I saw his life from birth, childhood, death, to where he was then, onto who he's going to marry, his children, and all the way to his death. I saw his whole life. Right?
Like a vision in front of you, clairvoyantly.
Yeah, it was just like a slideshow.
Mhm. Wow.
And that's the Akash, right? And anybody who's psychic, when they do a psychic reading, they're reading that same Akash. And what's important about that was the Sasquatch people is, when the Sasquatch get close to you, or you're on their radar, they will read your whole Akashic record, and they know you better than you know yourself. They know who you're going to marry. They know if you're going to get sick, or they know what's going to happen to you. And this is, I think, fundamental to understanding who the Sasquatch people are, because what they're doing now is they're doing this with tens of thousands of people. Like one group that I'm in has got 70,000 people, and I can feel that the Sasquatch have vetted and tagged at least that 70,000 people in that one group alone, and it's actually in the millions. And the star people are doing the same thing. When the star people pick you up, they read that Akashic record, they read that life review, and they know, like for example, a spiritual awakening, right?
Mhm.
The Sasquatch they might know you when you're 17 years old, but then they know that you're not going to really be spiritually awakened until you're 45.
Right.
So they won't bother with you until you're like, 40, 42, 40. And then when you're ready for that interaction, they'll step in. So okay. Then one of the second guys that I met, enlightened men, was his name was Sri Chinmoy. And Sri Chinmoy was he was a yogi, and he would sit on a stage, right, and he would go into samadhi, and so the lights would come down, and there was just a little light on Sri Chinmoy, and then he would start looking out at the audience, right, and he looked down at the audience, and he looked at every single person in the audience one by one, never saying a word. He's one of these silent kind of guys. When he looked at me, he had this light coming out of his eyes, this blue white light. It's like, okay, you're looking into the eyes of God here. You know what I mean? That's the God light coming out.
Right.
The Sasquatch can do that too.
Can you sorry to interrupt you, but you've mentioned the word samadhi twice. There will be people that watch this broadcast that have never heard of samadhi or samadhi. Can you just briefly explain what that is, please?
There is your breath, and your breath goes in and out, right? And the breath is driven in and out of your body by a life force. That life force is called chi or prana, right? Pranayama. It's called prana or life force, right? And that life force is light, Light, right? So when you can connect to your breath, to the life force, to the light, then you can amplify that to where your whole being was be filled with light. And that's what an enlightened man is, or woman.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And you can, there's lots of different ways it happens. You don't have to see light. The Buddhists, the Zen Buddhists say that the blissful, clear light of the void, they may not even see the light, but their mind is in this complete silence. It's like, you're withdrawn from the external world and you're just completely locked into the internal world. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of years to do it, because our body are piezoelectric, and you have to raise that vibration very gradually through meditation and practices for years to get to where you can do that.
Yeah, yeah. So your third and fourth enlightened, godlike human that you met, and then we'll come to you, Brian.
Yeah, then I met this guy named Muktananda, and I got Shaktipat from him, and he recognized the thing about the Shaktipat, and the thing about becoming an initiate of a guru is a transfer of energy. It's like a love zap. The Shaktipat is like a love zap, but it's also a consciousness transformation energy. So when you go before a true enlightened guru, and if they give you like a touch or you kiss their feet, or they hit you with they like wave a feather at you or anything like that, or they do like this, that they're giving you an upgrade. That's what this basically is. And the last one was the one that I ended up following was Prem Wat, and he's pretty much up there. He at one time he wore the Krishna crown. You know what that is?
No, I know about Krishna, but I don't know about the Krishna crown.
Yeah, on the planet, like with boxing, right? They're boxing. Then when you get to be the world heavyweight champion or the world champion, they gave you this belt.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing in wrestling. They give you the belt, and if you wear the belt, that means for that amount of time that you have that belt and you defend that belt, you are the world's greatest boxer. Well, any guru, Satguru, who will wear the Krishna crown in public is recognized as the world's highest man.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for
those are. I mean, I have met lots of other people, but those guys, just to give you an understanding, is that's what qualifies me to compare and look at who the Sasquatch people are. You can't see who the Sasquatch, but you have to always use self-referencing, right? It's compared to me. But since we don't have a self-reference for enlightened beings, like even the people who see the light beings on craft, and they just kind of talk about it like it's normal, but these are beings that whole body is made out of light. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And then whenever you're around them, everything changes. You come back and you're awakened or whatever it is. It's not a small thing when you actually interface with these kind of beings, and it's from them that you can kind of prioritize the level of elevation of the other people that you see, like any being actually.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Like the elemental beings, any of the beings that can turn into a ball of light or disappear, they're really high beings.
Yeah. So I'm going to come back to you, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing that kind of quick initiation into how superior in terms of light and consciousness the Sasquatch people are compared to the most evolved human beings that you personally have met in this lifetime, which was enabled you to make a reference point of really honoring their high frequency.
They're equal to or higher than the highest humans that we know.
Wonderful. It demystifies the wrong sayings that they're apes and they should be hunted down and shot, which a few idiots have been making movies and films and documentaries to chase these beautiful beings because they were ignorant to the fact that they are these incredible spiritual, highly evolved people.
Well, since you said that, I cannot speak for all the Sasquatch people, because just like human beings, we have a class of people who are holy, the holy men, the God men. and the Sasquatch do too. But in general, overall, they're higher than we are, right? So there's bad guys out there too, but
Good point.
in
Good
general,
point.
they are higher than we are. They're
Mhm.
like yogis.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, Brian Bland, please share a little bit about what you do, who you are, a little bit about your background.
What do you want me to start?
Well, you know, you was telling me earlier that you literally walk into the woods on the regular and have regular, you know, interaction with the Sasquatch people.
I'll tell you my first kind of, I'll give you a little bit of background to who, you know, I was brought up and whatever. I guess you've talked to a lot of people who, you know, like are being awakened now, that they say that even when they were a kid, they said, what am I doing here? I don't belong here, kind of thing.
Yes.
You know, that was me. Like, I just was thinking, why don't I think like these people? And I just didn't feel like, I felt like I was a stranger or something. But so, you know, we were all brought here for some specific reason, I guess. But, you know, the Sasquatch didn't actually reach out to me until my mid-50s. But I did have one interesting experience when I was a kid. And, you know, surprisingly enough, I've never been scared or anything with any of the encounters I've had with Sasquatch. First of all, because they're so loving. And, you know, I mean, when you feel their love, it's very hard to be scared of them. But also because I think that, and this relates to this first story, is because I think I know them, you know, like on a soul level, past life level, that kind of thing. And so it's a recognition just under the subconscious. So when I was a kid, about 19, I came back from Ontario, Canada. I was writing and playing music and whatever with a fellow. I came back to British Columbia, and I was just laying in his bed, not in his bed. I'm sorry, that didn't sound right.
Not with him.
I wasn't even in his bed. Sorry, I was laying in his basement on a mattress he put up for me. Right.
Right.
Oh boy! I hope my wife was. You edit that part out for the wife.
That's funny.
Now, I was laying in his basement, and I had just laid down, and all of a sudden I saw this glimmering outline of a humanoid figure. It was like, you know, the chalk crime scene chalk lines.
Yeah.
They're transparent. There's just the perimeter and whatever. That's what I saw of a person looking at me, or it looked like a humanoid figure, and it was all lit up with like lights, like glowing white lights, I believe, like fluorescent, I suppose. And it just stood there looking at me. And then I looked to my left, and it was on its hands and knees looking right at me.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it just disappeared. But the thing was, it didn't scare me at all. I just thought, interesting, you know, like, and once again, I think that's because I kind of, you know, I wasn't a stranger, kind of thing. So in 2012, I was walking my dogs along a waterway in my hometown, and all of a sudden I got this voice in my head said, "Go to the mountains." And that was the Sasquatch calling me. And then from that point, they connect people all the time. Like, I'm constantly going out and I'm being connected to people who are just thinking about Sasquatch, never thought about it before. And just before I get there, they heard one walking in the woods or in the, you know, that kind of thing, like connections. So after they called me to the woods, I met a guy out here, a First Nations guy who was having experiences with Sasquatch locally. And, you know, I didn't know that they were that close. So I got a hold of him and we started going out, right? And the very first day we went out, we had interaction. And I knew right from day one that they weren't Magilla gorilla, you know, or monkeys or anything. I knew that they were really evolved beings.
Right.
And
what happened there when this beautiful tribal man, can you name the tribe he's from? And like, what was the actual interaction? Was it physical? Was Sasquatch physical, or what happened?
Well, there's one very key thing that happened. The Sasquatch, one of the ways they connect with me in a physical way is with stick writing. called glyphs, right? So as soon as we hit the trail, this fellow and I, he said, "You see that on the ground below you?" I looked down and I saw this curious arrangement of peeled sticks that had a design, and I could see it wasn't random. And he said, "The Sasquatch make those." And so I was like totally drawn in. I swear for like the next maybe 5 years, I never took my face off of the trail when I was constantly looking for them, and they're constantly communicating with me with them. Later on in the day, we had some tree knocking back and forth. And it was like we'd go knock, 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 and the Sasquatch up the hill would go knock, 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 and then knock, 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 knock. You know, we were like trying to outdo each other, and it was, you know, it's definitely an intelligent interaction.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
And then, you know,
did you physically see one that day? Or was it like tree knocking with this guy and he's introducing you to the stick glyphs? What's another phrase that people can understand? Is that they leave beautiful art. It's like
stick writing. I've got some pictures of them. I'll show you a few when we get around to that.
Okay.
It's a form of communication.
Mhm.
And when it's for me or when it's for you personally, like they do it personal for you. People say, "Is there a meaning to these?" Well, I can't tell people what their meaning is because it's a telepathic agreement between you and them. And I've proven that to myself without question, because when I've come up with a meaning for them, all of a sudden, and this is ties into what Bean says about you know, no time and whatever, and about how they can see your whole timeline and stuff. I guess that's probably part of it. The thing is that when I came up with an agreement with some of these symbols between myself and them, I would look back on old pictures, because I document all the pictures of the glyphs, because you'll learn stuff with fresh eyes when you look at them. You know, like when your knowledge is caught up to what you're looking at, you see them differently, right? So I discovered that they already knew that I was going to come up with the meaning, and they were already communicating with me according to that meaning 5-6 years before I even came up with it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I've got the pictures to prove it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Can I ask you, because I know the audience is going to be like, show us the Sasquatch already, or tell us a story where you've actually had a physical interaction. So Brian, can you tell us a story when you've had an actual physical sighting? What did they or it look like, please? What color was the fur? And what is the nearest representation that we could marry? Some people say they look like Chewbacca, but because you guys have actually had many years of real, true interaction, please give your version, Brian. What do they mostly look like? And when did you actually see one? And what did it look like?
Well, they look very much like the Patterson film, which is a real film.
What film?
The Patterson Gimlin film.
The Patterson Gimlin.
Patty, you know, when walking across, and
I don't think she knows, Brian. She's not, you know. In the
okay.
Right.
In October 20th, 1967, I believe it was a very groundbreaking film that was actually by design, in my opinion, because it brought the Sasquatch back into people's consciousness. It was called the Patterson Gimlin film, and it was two cowboy kind of guys, and a Sasquatch walked right across a sandbar right in front of them, and they got a really amazing film of it.
And is that the one we always see, Brian? Because I've asked this question before. That's the one everyone sees. So that was, in your opinion, was that a real life walking Sasquatch?
Undoubtedly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
That's what I've seen too. So I wonder if I should show you the glyph. There's a glyph that the first time I saw them. Do you want me to bring up the picture of the glyph that they left? And explain that?
Absolutely, yes.
Because
while he does that, let me mention that the Sasquatch, part of their law is to not be seen. They don't like to be seen. They don't like to be photographed. It's a very super special thing that people even get to see one. And most of the people who are having interactions on a lifetime kind of a basis, they're not dependent on seeing the Sasquatch. Only the people who are mystified by it, they want to see the Sasquatch. But I don't care, actually. It's the feeling, not the seeing.
Okay, so it takes, everything is in due time, right? So I didn't see it. I've seen them quite a few times since then. Or I'm trying to think of if when he appeared in my room, if that was before my actual physical sighting. I'll tell you this one anyway, and I can tell you about the one in the room. So my First Nations friend and myself. Oh, by the way, he is related to Lakota people. Actually,
Lakota.
yeah, like Crazy Horse and
The
that
Lakota
bunch.
tribe, beautiful.
Yeah, I've actually had connection with Crazy Horse too. He's actually talked to me.
Goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, energetically, you know, like a mind speak kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thought and pressure, that kind of stuff.
Spirit to spirit.
Yeah. Okay, so my friend and I, we were out in a place in the woods, like way deep in the woods, and we came upon this glyph. This is an example of it. And what this means to me, like I say, you know, like people have to understand. They keep asking me, what do these glyphs mean? I don't know what they mean to you. I know what they mean to me, and that's how it works, right? So you see the A here, and this is also 3D. It's propped up in the sand. You see an A?
Yeah.
Right? That's my clan leader Ari's name. It's his personal signature. So when I see this, I know that it's from him, or sometimes one of his clan members leads it because he's the clan leader. So sometimes they'll do it from the clan of Ari. Sometimes it's directly from him. So here's the A here, right? So this means Ari. And then you look at here as an X, right? Can you see how you have to look at it kind of abstract?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an A and an X. This message means friendship welcome, which is what the X means, from the clan of Ari, right?
Oh,
it's a greeting. Friendship welcome from the clan of Ari. And if you notice, look over here, how they curved it into here. There's another friendship welcome. There's another X and another A.
oh my
Curved
goodness.
into the main body. You see that?
That's so clever. And where is this on the ground? Where are you in the world when this happened?
We're like about 7 miles into the bush, right by a little creek. And this is right on the edge of the creek.
Where?
In British Columbia.
British Columbia. Can you be more specific?
Well,
Vancouver.
well, it's not in it's 50
One of
miles
the parks around Vancouver.
east.
Right.
Yeah, 50 miles east of Vancouver.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And you mentioned that there's a clan leader called Ari. This is his signature. And you also said that Ari is the head of the clan that interact with you. So they're walking around in clans or families. That's beautiful.
They have family units like us, yeah. And this is the site of my first sighting too, when he left this. And he left me this because he wanted to also, even though I knew without a doubt, he wanted to confirm that, you know, my understanding of the glyphs is real, because friendship welcome from the clan of Ari, right, is the message, undoubtedly, for me. And so my friend and I are, and it's funny because they can nudge you to look or have a feeling or do something in unison or just by yourself. They'll just direct you, kind of like. And so we're looking at this. All of a sudden, we both looked over to our left, I think, into the bush, and about 20-30 yards back in the bush, Ari was standing there.
Wow.
Waiting for just so that we acknowledged that we saw it. He was standing there, and we waited until we seen his signature and his welcome. And he was standing there, and he was about 12.5 feet tall. His shoulders looked like they were about as wide as a Volkswagen. This guy is huge. He's probably over 1,200 pounds.
Wow.
And he was. They can have different states of materialization. They can be like orbs. They can be like predator, the watery kind of shimmery kind of thing. They can be a lot of different things. How I saw him in this particular time was he's actually white, but he was black because he was probably 95% materialized, but dead obvious. I mean, I could see his bulk. I could see the shape of his head. Everything was like clear, other than the fact that he was maybe 5% away from being fully materialized. But there was, you know, it wasn't like, did I see what I see? But it was obviously a figure there, like 100%.
And is he fully furred, Brian? Is it all like fur like we see in that movie clip of the original Sasquatch that was filmed? Are they all covered in fur?
Yes, but sometimes they don't have a lot of hair around their faces and stuff, you know, around the cheeks and whatever. But I want to clarify, you know, I saw him as clear as a bell. I'm just, when I say he wasn't fully material, it's just because he wasn't white. He was just that one little percentage or so away from it. But I saw him bulk, everything. And he just looked at us, acknowledged that we seen him, and then he just, it was really surreal and supernatural. It felt like he was on like a, no, an escalator is the one that goes up. What's the one that goes just across?
The tram thing at the airport, you just
It's like a
stand
people, they call it people mover.
Okay,
Right.
he felt like it looked like he was on something like that, and he just like, he went like
on.
walked off and like no head bob, just like completely and just like, and then he just disappeared.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Wow, what's your next slide that you want to show us? Your next photo slide.
Oh, I've got a
question.
ton of photos, but I mean, do you want to? Oh, okay, well, I can show you him if you want.
Are you
wanna see the
kidding?
picture?
Yes, we want to see the Sasquatch people. Absolutely.
I'll get back to some of these in a bit.
This is the
Okay, now
clips
this
that they
story,
made.
can you see him
Yeah.
right here?
My word.
Can you see him? There's his
Yes.
head, this is his body. You see him, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's no,
Make it bigger if you can, though. Like hit the green maybe, and
that's as big as I can get it. Sorry, but here's his nose. He's got the patty nose from that film. Here's his eyes, his head, his bulk. You can see him clearly, right? Even though he's not fully materialized. Can you see him?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right?
absolutely. I know some people will go, oh, it's rocks, it's a bit of greenery.
No.
Like,
No,
yeah,
no,
I'm
no,
just saying, you know how people are so like, oh my God, I can't look at it, I can't believe it, but there it is.
No. Well, I mean, some people may not be able to see it, but I saw him immediately. The story behind this was as I was driving in to my area that day, and all of a sudden I got hit up with this love feeling of love and welcome, because they're so, I'm feeling it right now, actually, a little bit. I've been tingling the whole time. I'm driving in and I'm just like weeping. I just instantly start weeping because it's so beautiful, the feeling that they gave me. And I was just, you know, like tears are literally rolling down my cheeks. It's just like from not even thinking about something, instantaneously just overcome with emotion. And so I said, Ari, come and visit me today. Come and visit me. And so I was just walking around, taking pictures of like bugs and butterflies and leaves and their structures and their glyphs and just whatever beautiful that, you know, appeals to my eyes. And I used to take a bunch of pictures in those days. So I was just shooting pictures, and I never saw him when I took this picture. But you know, as I said, come and visit me today. And then about a week later, she was looking through my pictures and she says, my wife, and she says, there's Ari. And I said, oh my God. So he did come and visit me. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, how beautiful. Did you get his name telepathically? Did he communicate it that way to you?
No, but the thing is that's what I call him. And it doesn't matter really what his name is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could call him Joe as long as I'm thinking about him, right?
Yeah.
And he would connect with me through that name. It's not, the name is not as important as the connection, you know, behind the name, like, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I have had the names of some of them given to me, but you know, other people have different kinds of connections with them. Some people get their names, some don't. Some, and you know, and then there's mind speak or whatever, which is all different kinds of things. Sometimes it's a voice, a direct talking in your head. Sometimes it's thought placement. I get both, but I get thought placement a lot, like a whole lot. Like I'll think, geez, I wonder if it's like this. And as soon as I get the thought, I look down and there's the answer right at my feet, like instantaneously. You know, like they place the thought in my head and then the answer is there. And then there's the, you know, the guide people around.
There's like Sunbow, he's got 4 books just channeled, and it's up to like, I guess, 12 people at one time.
Yeah.
We're all channeling the same guy, the same Sasquatch in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And they compiled it into a book.
Yeah, and in different ways, right? So
Different ways, yeah.
most of my information is like I've had like streams of energy coming in through the top of my head when I'm walking in the woods, and like it's just like a download or whatever. And I remember when I first got it, I thought, geez, this is just going to go into storage for when I need it or whatever. But once you have that kind of stuff, you just have a big knowing. You may not have all the details right now, but you just have an overall knowing, right?
Mhm.
Saying?
Beautiful.
Yeah, like one time I was in that state of the fifth dimension state or whatever. I was in my room having some kind of experience, and it was just like I was in that state. And I think this is kind of speaks to that, is that you have that connection, that all one connected feeling, but you don't have any questions or even the need to formulate any. It's just like it just is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of what it is. That's kind of what it is with these guys.
Amazing. So I just want to make a reference to, you mentioned Sunbow. So this a man who's on my channel, his name is Sunbow True Brother. And this man is an encyclopedia of Sasquatch. So it's on the Dani Spiritual Therapist channel. I met with him last week. Sunbow True Brother is one of the most globally respected, I would say one of the elders in the knowledge of Sasquatch. He's traveled to all cultures around the world, all tribes, interacted, has so much information, has channeled so many books. And when you go to his website, you just get lost. Well, I did. You get lost, and people have sent him their stories, their interactions. So Sunbow True Brother is a fantastic reference with books that you can grab to really, really nourish your soul. On those of you who are truly awakening to the beauty and the reality of the Sasquatch people. Wow. Brian, do you have another photo to show us of a...
I got a bunch of photos, but I don't want to hog the whole show.
No, we'll come back to Michael in a second. But while we're here looking at one photograph, wow. So this is the glyph. And then
well, this is, yeah, kind of. It's a big one. It's kind of, it to me, it talks about universal connection, everything connected, kind of like the spider's web.
They call these tree structures.
Tree structures.
Yeah. So there's a large variety and a lot of repeating patterns. There's a lot of patterns that goes from country to from state to state.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And they are global. These beautiful creatures, these beings are global. They're everywhere in the world,
including Hawaii.
This is me on a trip into the mountains, and I got hit up with this blue beam, and it was wild. I was really tired that day. Like when my First Nations friend wants to go home with me, I take advantage of it, even if I haven't had any sleep or whatever, because I don't get to see him that often. So on this particular day, I hadn't had any sleep. I worked a 12-hour shift, no sleep, no food, didn't even have time to prepare food. And we hiked in about 6 or 7 miles too. And I'm laying there, and this blue beam hits me. And I didn't see it at the time, but you can see it coming down, hitting me right here, right?
Yeah.
So by all means, I should have been like completely dead tired. But on the way back, I felt this energy scan coming up from my feet all the way up to my body, up into my head. And I literally, there's a hill that's really kind of like, I never like it, even if I'm completely rested. I actually ran up it backwards.
What?
I was so, not the whole way, but I was running and jogging, and it was just like, I had no, it just gave me unbelievable energy. This thing, yeah.
Wow. So
sorry?
So they are on a craft. They're on a craft, on a spaceship, a craft and beaming you and filling you up with regeneration energy.
Well, my friend called it a healing ray, and I would have to agree with him. He's had, him and another friend both had cancer. We were only supposed to live like 3 or 4 years or whatever. They're both still alive 15 years later. And they both, only 3 people have experienced this that he knows. And I'm one of them, because he doesn't take too many people to this place.
Incredible. Now, is that coming from a spacecraft? Because there's, you know, we're going to get to that.
I didn't know where it came from. I didn't even notice it until he showed me the picture after the fact. And then I started feeling the X-ray effect coming all the way up.
That's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a glyph. You know, people say, well, they just fell like that. Well, sorry.
Yeah, not possible.
That did not fall like that. Some of them are even woven over and under each other. That did not fall like that. Oh, this is a really interesting one. Can I still, are we good?
Yeah, yeah.
So my wife and I were camping, and we were in our tent, and she heard one of our Sasquatch friends off to the left of us. My hearing isn't that good. I wear hearing aids, so I didn't hear him, but it was breathing from a big man. And she says, I think Forstner's over there. She just has in tune. She just knew who it was. He's one of the 4 that we know. And he was in the bushes, and we were sitting in front of our tent. So the very next morning we woke up, and this was just behind the tree, a few yards in front of our tent. And as you can see, there's the tent floor, there's the tent pegs, there's the tent, there's us in the tent. Here's him watching us. He knew what he saw. Here's him watching us. We got the Friendship Welcome X on the roof. Friendship Welcome, we're friends, right? And here's the thing that I really, really love. I came up with a meaning for the Y stick. You see a Y here?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what it meant when I first seen it. I thought, okay, I know everything else. He's just drawing a picture of what he's seen. I didn't know what the Y meant until about 5 or 6 years later. And I came up with the meaning man, the smaller one, Sasquatch, connected. The 2 shafts are man, Sasquatch connected. It's the big shaft, right? So I didn't know what that meant, but then when I'm looking through this picture, and this has happened countless times, I said, okay, look at it, there it is. Friendship Welcome, man, Sasquatch connected. It's all fits in perfectly, right?
It does. And his name was Forster, you said?
Forstner.
You call him Forstner? Because I can see the F. I thought you were going to say there's the F in the name, you know, in that glyph too, because you could easily make an F out there as well for his actual name.
But yeah, but here's the thing. Some glyphs are, well, they're all kind of like a message. Some of them, they just draw what you see you doing. Like I've had a lot of stickmen and whatever. And this one is what he actually observed, Forstner observed us doing in the tent. And there's also a message, man, Sasquatch connected. He's talking about our connection.
Yeah.
He's talking about that we're friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what does Forstner look like?
I've never actually seen him. I've connected with his RE's son. His daughter hit me up with something called the Love Zap, where I got that big universal knowing. And then RE, of course, I'm connected with him all the time. But Forstner he does a lot of the stuff like this. He leaves a lot of the messages. He follows us around or whatever, but he doesn't connect energetically as much. But I do know somebody who has seen him, and I guess he was about 20, and he was already 10 or 11 feet tall, and they grow a little, you know, he's probably as big as RE now, size-wise.
And what color was he? What color?
I think he was dark brown, I believe.
So they grow up in their families. They're born as children. They grow up in their families. And the size of RE, you said he was 1,200 pounds and 12.5 feet tall. I know there are different sizes. So are they a particular species within the Sasquatch people, or a particular, you know, like we have so many different colors and heights in our around the world. You know, the Maldives, they're all 5 foot. Here in Costa Rica, they're so tiny, the men en masse. You know, is it kind of that kind of thinking how we could, you know, we really grasp what's going on here with the sizes and the different colors? And
well, they have every hair color that humans have. I think maybe it's to do with, you know, because it's cold up in Canada and in some places they have to have more body mass. I think it depends on the area they're from.
mhm.
So yeah.
The
Wonderful.
Florida skunk ape is considerably smaller, almost half the size, of like 6 feet tall, maybe. A
Who
little
is?
over. The Florida skunk ape, which is in the south where it's warm.
Okay, so that's a species I've never heard of. The Florida skunk. Oh, yes, I have. The Florida skunk ape.
Yeah.
Yes, I always
yeah.
think how rude to call it that. But anyway, so
Well,
that is
that's
a
what they smell.
Sasquatch.
People don't respect. We don't even respect ourselves. So how are we going to respect anything like
Right, right. And that brings me to all of the really disturbing, that I've always found disturbing, those TV shows and documentaries where you got the big buffoons going out with their guns, you know, trying to set traps and, like, you know, kill one, and all they can really think about is the hunt and the adrenal high they get, but possibly catching one and of course making loads and loads of wonga, loads and loads of money, not at all respecting. From only, I'm sure there are programs where they respect them, but the only ones I've seen are these buffoons buffooning around and trying to cause harm and, you know, create celebrity for themselves. So okay, yeah, and I've seen some of those in the Florida swamps chasing around the skunk ape. Absolutely. So this is beautiful.
One of the big lessons of the Sasquatch is no judgment. So I try not to judge them, but I will say that they're not going to have any real interaction with Sasquatch.
Of course
Sasquatch
not.
are only interested in people that they can teach and that they can connect with and show, you know, tell them their message about how we're universal beings, part of the collective, all, you know, all connected. And they're trying to reintroduce us to our true nature kind of thing. This is an example of how when they lead me off trail or whatever, another kind of mind speak, but it's just guidance. And I found a bunch of these circles. Circle is about connection with them. Oh, I can't get into all these stories are really detailed, you know. But basically, what they did here is they brought 3 people together for the sake of tying them into one story. And this picture, actually, they took a picture off of my friend's camera and replaced it with this picture. And the picture that they took off, I just happened to be talking about. I said, "Oh, show them that picture. Show this other guy that picture." And you know, no coincidence that picture was gone. And then and then later on, this was not there in this place until later on. They put that on there, like later in the day, when I said, "Let's look at that for that again to make sure," you know.
Right.
So this is like almost other dimensional or something.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you can't really see that, or can you?
Looks like a beautiful sun bursting through, almost like a heart-shaped sun, or maybe
Yeah.
a face. Actually, are there 2 eyes?
No, I see a heart.
Uh-huh.
It's just this just speaks of connection and whatever, you know, like, you know, how when you're on that vibration, whatever, just all these connective things just always happen, right?
Mm. Yes, yes, absolutely. When your heart's connected in the right way, just the beauty just keeps on coming.
So the Sasquatch are monsters, right? Like, what monster would make this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is my wife's fish cliff with an A, with an X. It's talking about our connection, my wife and my connection, and they've left us so many of these. You know, I can't do this justice in like even 10 hours. You know, I could talk forever about these things, but it's just you can see the love and the sentiment that they put in there. They led me to this, and you have a little piece of moss there, the little bark. It's like a floral arrangement. The fern, the X, friendship welcome, A from the clan of RE, the fish cliff talks about my connection with my wife. So it just talks about the connection, right?
It's so beautiful and so delicate and thought out, like so thoughtful that these huge beings would be so delicate and sensitive and leave you up, glyphs on the ground, and it's just mind blowing.
And here's something important for your watchers. They know where you're going to be walking like a couple of days before you even get there. So they know where to put that on your path so that you see it, whether it's 4 hours or 4 days before you get there.
Yeah. I've actually seen
this is not random. They know you're going to be walking in this
Yeah.
direction on this path.
Oh, absolutely, Beans. And
that's important. A lot of people don't know that's how it works. It's not just like
no, they just don't leave it there hoping I'm going to come there.
Uh-huh.
They know I'm going to be there. They know I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
And I forgot my point on that, but anyway. Oh, this is beautiful. This was and glyphs are not always with sticks. Sometimes they're with stones, or they can be with ferns or vines or all kinds of different things. So I came upon this, and I got mind speak immediately. And my message was 1 walks with 4. This is talking about my walk with them. And they're confirming that with me right now, even though they don't have to energetically, right? So 1 walks with 4. Here I am. 1 walks, Sasquatch foot shaped rock, right?
Uh-huh.
With 4, the 4 clan members I'm most connected to. And you notice it's in a circle of connection too. And also it's different levels, like, as I advance, right?
Yes, absolutely. Where is this? Is it outside your home, on your porch?
No, this was in the woods where I go. But they do leave glyphs at my house. They've left many glyphs right at my house. As a matter of fact, they've come right in my room. So this is. They've also given me a lot of really amazing pictures that so I can get insight into things or whatever. And this is like universal energy. You see it going around the tree. This is not a natural photograph. This is energy swirling around the trees. It looks like wispy hair almost.
Yeah.
Do you feel that too?
So yeah, so special. Yeah, I have such an affinity. When I live in the jungle, there's nothing but trees here. Monkeys, deer. I saw a deer today. That was such a special gift. I'm in Costa Rica, and I speak to these trees all the time. I'm just so in touch with how blessed. I wake up. I was telling a friend today, some mornings I wake up and I'm like, I cry. I do. I can't believe I live here. I can't believe how lucky I am to be in the jungle. It's just such an honor and a blessing.
Here's that big face, of course. See, this is, they can appear out of a cloud of smoke or anything like that. So that's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. So to talk it through for those that can't see.
I just took a photograph. I didn't notice. I just take photographs and they appear in them. I don't go out, like, I take pictures of the glyphs and their structures and whatever. That's so I can communicate with people and tell them about them and teach people about them. But it's also for me to document, because as I said, when I look back at a picture years later, I have a bigger understanding, so I can see, oh, okay, this is what they meant. But I never purposely go out and try to get a picture of them. But I did take this picture, and you can see, look at the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, right?
Oh, it's that way. I see it now. I was looking at the two top eyes where your clicker is right now, but his face is to the side.
Here's his forehead, here's his 2 eyes, his nose, and his mouth.
That is obvious. So clear. Absolutely. What a beautiful looking person.
That's all right.
Brian has kind of recorded in his mind, I think, something like 12 different ways that they can cloak, different forms of visibility, the shadows, and also shapeshift. It's like 12 different ways that he himself has sort of noticed.
Yeah. They can either look through. Yeah, they can look through the eyes of animals. They can shapeshift into them. There was one other way. I've even seen them in human form, believe it or not. And I had that confirmed by a friend, so I don't have any doubt whatsoever. He even took it up one step to make it absolutely without question. I mean, I knew anyway, but then when I talked to him, we were comparing notes. He put the final proof in it for me, but I won't get into that. Okay, so this is how advanced these people are. Do you see his RE's head right in the rock? See the two eyes, the nose, and the mouth? Can you see that?
No.
No.
So
This whole thing is his head.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, you just have to look at it a different way. Oh my flipping God. That is so clear. The two eyes, the white piece is the nose, the
You
lips.
see his, yeah. You even see his nostrils.
Yeah.
Here's his nose, his nostrils, his mouth. What kind of
Oh.
a being can put his image in a rock like that?
A very advanced and clever one, darling.
Yeah,
It's not, that rock doesn't actually look like that now. That was
No.
a one-time deal.
No, and you know, we were actually, when you talk about them shape shifting or whatever, that particular weekend, my wife and I were there for 3 days. We were gifted feathers by a raven, because they work with a raven a lot. Ravens will also by their calls or whatever, you ask a question or something, and the raven will give you a call like right as the question is asked to confirm it. So we were gifted raven feathers. We had pictures taken off our camera that day. We heard RE walking around in the bush. We saw this rock, just amazing.
Wow. So the ravens have a very strong link to the Sasquatch.
Up here they do anyway, yeah.
Yeah, ravens, bears, dogmen, all the animals have connection to Sasquatch.
Yeah. Here's a nice footprint in the sand.
How big was that?
It was a juvenile. It was maybe 14 inches or something.
Wow.
I've seen up to over 20.
Mm.
20 is talking about like a 14-foot tall man.
Yeah.
20 feet. That's
They
huge.
always, the foot guys, the print expert guys always talk about a mid-tarsal break. So you can see it's kind of elevated here. So we see that here.
Yeah.
When I came up with the meaning for the Y stick, man, Sasquatch connected. The very next day after I came up with it, they left this propped up against a tree, and they led me to it. And this rock here is the individual who left it, representing him.
Oh, goodness. It's just so clever. Now people are going to be in the woods, in the forest, and they're going to be noticing the Sasquatch glyphs everywhere that they never even knew existed, or even pondered what a collection of leaves and sticks could actually mean. This is mind-blowing.
And once you start noticing them, they will, if they, you know, if it's meant to be, they will start working with you. You have to notice the small little things, and then they'll start.
Oh yeah, they're all over Germany and France, and you know, the thing is if you're new, you don't have to go like 7 miles out into the woods. You just go to a good, well-traveled state park or county park that has like walking trails, and just look around, you know, on both sides of the trail, and you'll still see something. If there's Sasquatch are there, they'll leave some kind of structure or something. You don't have to go on a safari there, because they're in every major city has been visited by the Sasquatch people, or they live there.
I was taking a selfie here. Do you see the Sasquatch behind me? His whole body, arm.
That one's kind of hard to see, but it's cloaked.
Well, they're generally in some kind of state of cloaking. I mean, to me, because it's for me, I can see it like it's just
clear as
obvious as the nose on my face. Can you see it?
So the darker part looks like its head, eyes, nose, like where
here's his forehead.
Yes, that's what I.
Two eyes. Here's his nose.
Yes.
The head, arm, chest. You know.
Wow, that's a big fella.
That's actually Little Bud, the little guy, but he's 10 feet tall now. Oh, there's okay. Yeah, this is a glyph, right? Sometimes they'll leave glyphs, and they'll leave their calling card with a glyph. So here's a really nice cliff that they left, and look, here's their footprint right beside it. They've done
Oh.
that so many times. It's a little smudged, I know, but trust me, it's a footprint. Yeah, they were a little mad at me because I was checking out another area. So they wanted me to come back, and they left me this. Left me this. I didn't have to go anywhere.
They didn't want you to find another clan, huh? Because you have your clan.
You can see that, right? Look at this
Yes.
glyph. It's like a directional glyph.
Yeah, it's like an arrow pointing this direction. Yeah.
You see,
Stay
this
on
is
the
what
path.
this is what people who don't pay attention to stuff, you know, they can't fathom it, so they say, well, it just felt like that. But
Nothing can fall like that. It's a
tell me how this felt. Tell me how this felt like that. And
it's
some of them are woven
preposterous.
over and under.
No,
like
it's preposterous to say such a thing. You know, complete
Yeah.
denial.
I want to get back to beans in a second because I don't want
Yes.
to. But here's my here's another one. Here's my wife and myself, fish clip. This is about our connection, right? And they left me they've left me hundreds of these, especially around the time we got married, just before and after. It was incredible.
Oh, so what is your fish glyph connection with your wife? Pisces? Like, what is that?
No, it just represents our connection. Doesn't represent like a horoscope or anything. It just represents, when I see this, they're talking about our connection. It's how they communicate with us, like they're recognizing or acknowledging our connection. This is another one that I took well before I knew what the Y stick meant, right? This was done by the female, Raja Say, the one who gave me my love zap, all big universal knowing kind of thing. And I know it's from her because she left this little leaf touch. She loves to do little decorative stuff. But here, once again, is my point when I said that I know that they know what I'm going to come up with years before I do. Because when I first took this picture, I didn't really notice this little Y stick curved into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just recognized the fish glyph, but what this means is Brian and Sue, my wife and I, are connected. And man, Sasquatch are connected. We're all connected.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. And you said her name was Raja Say?
Raja Say, yeah.
Raja Say. And have you seen her physically?
No, I've seen Little Bud and I've seen RE, but I've certainly felt it. I don't, seeing them physically is, oh, it's amazing. I've seen, maybe 5 or 6.
Well, you had it's individual. Brian has a camp out every year, and as one of the last campouts, one person from the camp out, was one of about 12 people there. Irene walked right through the center of the camp, and one person saw him.
Yeah.
So that's the way it goes. It's pretty much individual, and that's what that person needed for that day to believe.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Bean. Yeah, and the thing is that it's the connection that they have with you through the energy and how they teach you or whatever. That's the important thing, because their personality comes through in their energy. I can tell who is who just from their energy signature. It's kind of like a personality, right?
Mm.
So I'll go through these quick so we can get back to beans. But here's another one, fish glyph, Brian and Sue, and here's the Y stick.
Mm.
Just connection, right? Man, Sasquatch, connected. Brian and Sue connected. So, I've got thousands of these. Here's one of their structures.
That's just crazy good. That's so wow. Because
CDA
anybody's
here,
the
CDA,
what? Oh yeah, yeah.
RE signature, yeah. See, they leave you, you come across these and they'll leave you little signs that they did it. Like here's his signature right here. And then there's the Y stick too. It's kind of a Y stick and it's an A. So you look at it both ways, right?
Yeah.
It's talking about connection. It's talking about RE, his signature. Here's one of their structures, and they leave a lot of, it depends on what they have in the area, but the ones I find, they leave a lot of ferns and stuff like that.
So we go back to that picture, Brian. Show her how far that is off the road. It's right on the road there.
Oh my word.
No, this is, see, they do a lot of stuff around campgrounds or whatever, because they are trying to, and then not only around campgrounds, but sometimes when they do it around where people camp or whatever, it's because it's, hi, do you see me?
Right.
Do you see me? I'm giving you an invitation to maybe consider something. you know, like you know what I mean? A doorway to maybe opening up somebody's mind.
Uh-huh.
Right? So they're introducing themselves in a way. Yeah, this is actually the area where I host my RE and family camp out every year. I do it free. No, I pay for everything myself, and they invite the people they want there. They just
Wow.
introduce me to them, like they'll lead me to them, and I'll feel their energy, their
Well,
approval.
that's a good point. There's several Sasquatch conventions now that are organized by the Sasquatch people, and they just tell the organizers what they want, and so that's kind of interesting.
Wow.
Okay.
It's like if the ETs organized an ET convention.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Brian. I've got one final question for you before I come to Michael. What kind of craft do what shape is the craft that the Sasquatch come in and out on?
I've only had one experience where I saw them with craft, and it looked like a cigar kind of disc kind of thing.
Okay.
What it was planet? Like, you know, like I said, they keep things pretty simple with me. They give me and by design, I've got the big knowing, but it's kind of like I don't get all I don't want to get lost in the details. That the important thing is they are trying to open us up to love, no judgment, no fear. That's the transition. That's the conscious shift that people talk about.
Yeah.
Is that raising their vibration. So they keep it really, really simple. I get some details, but sometimes I don't get a lot of details. My message is, you know, it's I call it the core truths. You know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
what planet, Brian? What planet do you feel they're from, or is it more than one planet that they could be from?
I don't know. They've never told me that.
Okay.
They've been here for a long time, since the land of Pan, for sure.
Uh-huh. So you're saying they were more earth creatures before they became so kind of evolved and to be able to create craft?
I think they've been on Earth.
They were brought here to be the gardeners and the caretakers of Earth, and so they were here before the dinosaurs.
Okay, so I've never heard that, Michael. That's so beautiful. They were brought here.
Yeah.
Do you know what
as
planet?
we were brought here.
Right.
As we were brought here. Yeah.
I do believe that too. But so do you know what star system they're from, or what planet they're from?
No, but I think Sunbow does. They mentioned something about it. It's not just one planet. There's many planets that have them as their home.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and I believe he did say that. Although I don't want to quote him directly, I'd have to go back.
Well, this is an interesting point. You ever heard of the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research in Extraterrestrial Encounters, right?
Yes.
With Ray Hernandez.
Yes,
you know
the former astronauts, or the astronauts. Right. Yes.
And they did this thing with Ray Hernandez, and they started a worldwide questionnaire of people who are experiencers. Mm-hmm. And I was part of that study. That guy Ray Hernandez lived close to me in Miami. And anyway, just one of the things that you want truth bombs. One of the things about Sasquatch is that there was one question. This was a survey, was over 3,000 people, and it had 600 questions. Wow. So, did your life change for the better? Did your life change for the worse? There's all these questions, just question after question. But one of the questions was on the second phase. It was 3 phases. On the second phase, they said, what type of beings did you see on a craft? Because only a certain amount of people who will get taken by ETs are awake and can look around, or they're up. Not everybody does that. A lot of people just are in kind of a dream state and they go back home. So of the people who are awake on the craft, start off with the light beings and the people who have light coming out of them, and then there's the human looking, and it went on down. It was the sixth one. The 6 most seen beings on the craft were the Sasquatch type people. They were the large, hairy, humanoid type and the small, hairy, humanoid type. So just to put that in perspective, if you think they're thinking that around 7 million people are taken since the 1950s till now, right? Around 7 million. It's like 2% of the, and that's a lot. Right?
That's a lot.
So to have whatever it is, what is 17% of them saw the large hairy type, the small hairy type, and 14% saw the large hairy type. But this survey was done pretty much in Europe and the United States. There's a wonderful lady named what's her name? Keep on say Rose. It's not. It's she's a researcher, UFO researcher. It's not Mary Rodwell. It's who's that lady who talked at that convention? One of the white-haired lady talked at the Sasquatch convention. Brian, you remember her?
No, what's that? Sue Walker?
No, not Sue Walker. But anyway, there's this lady she's really big into the Sasquatch and to the UFO. She went down to South America, and because she's like into this whole the Sasquatch and the UFO thing, she was asking people down there, the researchers down there, and she said they said to her that over 50% of the people who were taken on a craft in South America is a Sasquatch craft and a Sasquatch crew.
Goodness.
So if you're talking the same 7 to 10 million people taken over the last 50 years, now we're talking fleets of craft. It's not just one craft going to 7 million people.
Of
It can't be
course.
done that mathematically, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're talking fleets of Sasquatch craft.
Mm.
So there you have it. There's the Sasquatch that are in the woods that are connecting to people and taking after woods, but there's another whole bunch that are off world or interdimensional, and they just work on craft all the time.
Mm.
So that's really important to balance things out. It's not just the Sasquatch that are just running around in the woods. There's same family, same genome, same everything. Just like we have people who fly airplanes and people who are farmers. So
Yeah. It was when I was interviewing Sunbo True Brother last week, he told two really great stories, which I just like. I know you guys have heard it, but those watching may not have seen that. We'll just quickly share. So Sunbo was 17 years old, camping in the boonies in the great outdoors by the Fraser River, Canada. Is it Canada, right? Fraser River, BC area. And he was with a friend, and it was raining and dark and crazy. And they kind of put a lean-to together to sleep under. And in the middle of the night, a Sasquatch came along and just knocked that whole lean-to down. And then there was a young boy, another guy in a tent, who came running saying, "Did you see that? Did you see that? There was a Sasquatch that came through." And what it did was, it was showing Sunbo True Brother, showing him, "You're disrespecting the forest." Bang. I don't care what time it is. Bang. And so many years later, when Sunbo came into his awareness and his awakening and his connection to the Sasquatch, he then met that being. And then he also talks about a beautiful being called Camus, who would come in on a craft. And then the time that he met 16 Sasquatch, physically met 16 Sasquatch. And again, guys, that's on my channel, Sunbo True Brother, with his explanation of the Sasquatch. And then these beautiful men, Mike Harrell and Brian Bland from Pork and Beans, have also a massive body of work, other interviews that you can just get lost in. It's just so fantastic. So Michael, I want to come to you and ask you about the photograph behind you. Is there a specific reason why that's there? Does it have meaning to you?
yeah, this is just one that touched me. It shows a First Nation person, wherever it is, a First Nation person.
Right.
And then the Sasquatch the image is placed in front of the tree as an image.
So if you
And
could
to me,
just
that's
move to the side again, because now we're looking between the trees, you can see the full face of the Sasquatch and the indigenous elder sitting in front of it. That is crazy beautiful.
well, that's the whole connection. That's the whole connection of that they're interdimensional beings. And like for me and many other people who are friends with Sasquatch, they don't necessarily see them. They might see them once in their life, because the Sasquatch prefer, if they can teach you without words, and without any visual effects or without even any mind speak. If they can teach you just through their energy, then they prefer to do that. They're dimensional beings, and it's sort of like very similar to, like I said, they're archangel class earth spirits. Angels don't come down and wake you up at night and say, okay, let's go over your homework. They don't do that. They just give you a feeling, or they give you an insight, or they kind of poke your life in the right direction, or comfort you without words. You know what I'm saying? So if you're sensitive enough to be able to take directions without words, then that's the way they prefer to teach, and without knowing their names, without words, just by feeling.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of that. Is after I first was introduced to the Sasquatch, people made a connection. They taught me. It took them 2 years to teach me about the all one and no space, and without words, just by I would be cruising around the internet, and I'd see some video, and then it would click, or so I'd read about something, and that would click, and then gradually I got to the point of what no space is. It's we all kind of know what the all one is, right? You and I are one. We talk about you and I are one. Brian and I are one, or I am one with nature, or I'm one with God, right? But in our understanding, there's still space between me and you, and between me and Brian, and me and nature, and me and God. There's still space. But what they're explaining to me is that they live. Their dimension is they live in is no space. That means the space. Here I am, and then there's a space to, the computer, and then there's a space to the rest of the world, right? They don't live in that. They live in no space. My son calls the space between me and you, that's the antithetical force, because it pushes away. You are you, and I am me, and the tree is the tree. That's the antithetical force. But they don't live that way. They live in no space, which is they're talking to me. They're inside me, inside you, and inside Brian simultaneously, and inside the tree. So they live in no space, which means no time.
Right.
That's how they can do it.
Right, omnipresent. Could you also describe that as the void?
Yes.
So omnipresent and the void. That's so stunningly fantastic.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
you can also call it.
So exciting.
You can also call it the Akash.
Yes, the Akashic records, as some people
No, just
would
the
call
Akash.
it too.
The Akash is the whole entire darkness of space that contains everything. Right?
Okay, hold on a
all of
second.
everything is contained by the Akash.
Yes. So you're saying the Akash, in your understanding, is different from the Akashic records.
The Akashic records is the library, is the recording.
The library of each person.
It's not just each person. It is all movement of all energy of all time.
Yes.
So it's the planets, it's the galaxies, it's the desires of God and the Mother and all this kind of stuff, and all of that. The flow of the energy that goes around the universe is the desire of the Mother, and that's all Akash. It's sort of like Akash is recorded energy in motion. As a matter of fact, the definition of consciousness is energy. All energy has feelings, and when you feel energy, the feeling of energy is consciousness. Okay, so the energy being felt is consciousness, and then the differentiation between different kinds of energies or different qualities of energies is intelligence. And then to the antithetical force is what says, I'm a tree, and this is the tree energy, this is my energy, this is your energy. That's the antithetical force, and that's the mind, and what separates everything. But that's what it all is, and that energy, the energy in motion, without thought or without even recognizing, is the Akash. It's the whole show. And then each person, from ladybug to human being to planets, they have their own Akashic record.
Stunning, absolutely stunning. if somebody
And
wants,
that's how all spiritual stuff works. Remote viewing, all that kind of stuff. It works through that. It works in no space. Remote viewing, right? I'm going to remote view Paris in 1932 and the building of the Eiffel Tower, right? I'm going to remote view that, right? Well, what I'm reviewing is inside of me. It's not remote, it's not viewing, it's inside of me. There's a 1932, whatever it is, the building of the Eiffel Tower going on right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's no space. And because no space implies no time. That's what entanglement is. One atom spins over here and then they both spin, right? Because no matter how far apart they look like, they're not apart, they're connected in no space. And Sasquatch live in no space. When Brian is talking and he goes, oh, I'm getting chills, it's because the Sasquatch are in him as he talks. Yeah. It's a fabulous way of living a life. It's a fabulous way of looking at things.
Can I? Yeah, I wanted to say, the details and who they are and all this stuff is good, and we're inquisitive. We want to know about everything, right? I mean, that's just our nature. But the Sasquatch have some very core lessons. The important thing is like when I said, oh boy, I'm just.
You just go ahead like a.
When because they're giving me the confirmation, like this is what we want you to say. When I was in that fifth dimensional state where they are, like I said, when I said I didn't have any thoughts or the need to formulate any, it just is. That's the important thing, because their message is about no fear, so we can step into our true strength and who we really are. No judgment, no lower vibrational things, and no separation, because how has society been controlling us forever? With fear and with judgment, by making you think that I'm different than you, you're different than me, we don't like you because of this and that. That's all a lie.
Yes, it is.
That's all a lie. So basically, the only thing that's important to me is the Sasquatch are here to let us know that we are all one, all connected, that we don't have to have fear, we don't have to judge, we don't have to think that we're separated. Because once we come to that realization, that is the conscious shift. That's the only thing that's important to me, is that core truth.
Yeah.
Because that's how we are going to actually shift into a higher vibration.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly said, Brian. Perfectly said. So if somebody, bearing in mind there are some bad ones, like there are bad humans, let's just put it like that, as you guys confirmed earlier. But if somebody wants to make a connection, then just reach out. What would be the best way for them to do that?
I would say, I'll talk on this and Beans can pipe in.
I'll say after you, go ahead.
I think that you just, you don't have to go to the woods if you don't want, because Beans is proof of that. But for me, if you can go out into the nature, into the woods and just sit quiet and just say, I know you're here and I would like to meet you, and just say it from your heart. Don't have any agenda, like you want to get a picture of them, you want to harm them, do anything like that. Just be genuine and say, I want to meet you. I would love for you to introduce yourself to me, and just be pure, heart-centered, loving, and that's the way to do it. And also one thing that they taught me too is that, like, we are so full of ourselves. Like, we are all connected, all one. I mean, we're no better than any creature or anything on this earth. We got to quit putting ourselves on that level, and that's a big mistake.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. So, I'm embarrassed for us to do
so
that.
You just go out there and if they connect with you, you're going to come up, you're going to have all these realizations.
Yeah,
And
they'll make it known that
Yeah.
you know they're around. You'll just see a stick lift, or you'll have a dream, or you'll start watching something. You become a fanatic about watching videos or something. They'll let you know that they're around. They're connected to you.
yeah, like, and I'll let you get to this, Beans, but the Sasquatch are just like the Star Nations, benevolent Star Nations people over. They're just trying to wake us up. You know, we're little kids. They want us to grow up so we can be part of the universal collective kind of thing. It sounds all fancy schmancy, but that's really what it is. And it's all about losing fear, judgment, separation, the myth of separation, all the lies that we're taught right from birth that take us further and further away from who we truly are, right?
Yeah.
Look at a kid when they're born. They're so innocent.
Yeah.
They love everything. They don't hate anything.
Magic. Yeah.
We teach them to hate or whatever. I'm not saying,
Yes.
you know, people are changing now a lot, but you know, that's what's been going on.
Yeah.
And it's all designed to control us.
That's so true.
All designed to control us. And the Sasquatch and the other teachers, that's what they're trying to say. This is not true. This is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Beans?
Beans.
Yeah, there's this. It's this. I just extend that out. When I just was trying to explain to you about the all one, about no space. You can use the no space wherever you are. So you could be in your house or you could be in your car and you could just talk to the Sasquatch like, I'd like to be a friend. That's how I did it. A friend of mine told me how to do it. Friends of friends is real important. You know, if you just go out in the woods and you never go out in the woods or something, you start asking to be friends. That has one level to it. But if you know people who are already friends, people have psychic connection to them or spiritual connection to them, and you talk to them on the phone or you visit them or whatever, or you become engaged with a person who's already a friend of a Sasquatch, then Sasquatch are really big on friends of friends.
Ooh.
In other words, like you're talking to us in Sunbow, right?
Yes.
And that's you reaching out and engaging. That means all of my Sasquatch, all of Brian's Sasquatch, and all of Sunbow's Sasquatch are looking at you. Who are you to ask about us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how it works too. And so you just gotta say, you know, I want to be friends. You want to be friends, you know, and be sincere about it, and just and do it very casually, like once a day or a couple times a week, until you start to see some kind of result. They'll make it. If they want to be friends with you, they'll make it known. They'll leave something on your door, or throw a little rock on your window or something.
Right. Or howl in the middle of the night, howling.
Or they'll leave a glyph right at your door or in your house.
They used to listen. My whole thing was I was in the city in Miami. I was in the suburbs of Miami, and they came into my second floor apartment building, right? And they would slap on the door at 3 o'clock in the morning, just a little quick slap, and they'd throw rock pebbles at my window. And you know, just this is in town. They're invisible. They can go anywhere. So don't put limits on them.
Wow. In terms of sounds, so people can start to recognize, what do they sound like out in the forest? What would they listen for?
Oh, I can. Well, one is whoop. You know, that's that.
And does that whoop keep going?
Not necessarily. You might just hear one. You might hear a few. I've heard them talking in their actual voice, and that sounds like the one that I heard. Ari and his daughter. It sounded like. Well, his daughter didn't sound like this, but Ari did. He sounded. Sort of like that, yeah. Which doesn't sound that intelligent, but we know different, right? But
Of course.
They do a great owl imitation.
well, yeah, they can imitate any of those things, yeah, of course.
Any kind of animal like that. But and so if you question it in your head, and you have to listen closely to that. If you're hearing something like a coyote or a dog or some kind of parrot, if you're down there and some kind of and listen, is that a real owl or a real bird, or is it sound off? Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes
I've had them do owl talks to me, and then I've had them do sounded like a wolf kind of a thing, which was really creepy, but it was I knew who it was.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll cough or something after they'll give themselves away like there or something, you know, you'll hear like,
Wow.
they'll,
And
they'll,
they-
they'll
Well,
mess up
remember,
a
they
little
don't
bit.
want it. They don't want to communicate on that level. If they can communicate to you on an energetic level, that's their first choice, because
Right,
that's
right.
where they live, and that's where they want to take us, not into the words of ideas and words and thoughts. And they don't want to take us there. They want to take us into the energetic world of one heart.
And with animals and whatever, if you pay attention, like I said, they will give you an answer through ravens, owls and stuff like that. Like it's just the timing is too perfect. You just know, you know, and when it
Yeah.
happens over and over and over again.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
look for feathers, or like a dead bird, or maybe this little tiny snake, or any kind of thing that's out of ordinary on your path or around your house or around your yard.
Yeah.
I've had, like I said, in Miami, in this out by the Metro Zoo in Miami, that they actually put a footprint, and this is like nothing but like the houses and townhouses and the interstate right next to us, and in between the two apartment buildings there was a perfect footprint. And this was in kind of the crabgrass, where they had to rub his foot back and forth to get all the way through the grass down to the dirt. So they'll do stuff like that. If they like you, they'll let you know.
Wow.
Stick lifts are
Yeah, stick
all
lifts.
kinds of
You
things.
said about knocking. I've got a video on my channel. I forget which one it was. It was a little just me to camera teaching something or gifting something. And then you hear this. And I'm in the jungle. There's no one here. And you
Yeah,
see
that's
me,
them. That's
right.
what they do.
I knew it. And you hear me go, oh, someone just knocked on my door. They're gonna have to wait. And like, I knew, I had a feeling in my soul that was not. And then out here, there's every kind of bird. Oh my God. In the Costa Rican jungle, I have never, in any jungle I've been or forest I've been around the world, I've been to lots, Peru and Mexico, and gosh, I can't even think right now, there's so many. I've never heard so many sounds, so many birds. And it is, sometimes I'll sit here and I will hear the most extraordinary, just completely out of, and I'm like, is that them? Like, that is just too noticeable, so too beautifully noticeable. Yeah, so
Yeah, and it's also the timing sometimes, because you'll be doing something, and then as soon as the split second you finish, or you're thinking of them or expressing something, or a couple. Can I give you a couple really quick anecdotes about just how extremely evolved these people are? Like, these are both pretty.
Bring it, guys.
These are pretty unusual. Okay, well, this is not that unusual. Well, it is for some people. It's a bridge too far, but I've actually seen them walk across paths where they were completely like you didn't see them at all, and then 3/4 of the way across the path they materialized out of thin air. So they are capable of all of those things that people have mentioned and whatever, but it's taboo to talk about.
Right.
But this, I wanted to tell you one experience I had in my room that was just blew my mind. I'm just laying in bed, not even close to being asleep. I just literally laid down, and I saw, the old reel-to-reel film.
Yes.
With the every slide and the perforated edges and whatever.
Yes, I know it well.
Yeah, I saw a movie of a Sasquatch walking across a tree line, and it was like just at the foot of my bed, maybe 6 or 7 feet up in the air, and it was like I could see the perforated edges on each slide, and it was just like a movie playing, like a holographic vision.
Wow.
And it just walked across the tree line, looked at me, and then walked away. But I mean, it was like, what the heck? Like it literally had the little perforated edges that they have between each of those slides, like the old time reel-to-reel movies.
So clever of them.
Now, another time, just quickly, and I'm not sure if this is them, because my wife and I have got a special connection too. But one time I was actually just sitting on the john. You know what the john is, right?
As you do, yes. The loo, we call it the loo. The dung.
On the loo.
Hello.
Hello. Sitting on the loo.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Well, I'm part of the colony, so I can do that, right?
Of course you can. Anyone can.
No, you have to be part of the colonies. Anyway,
Oh.
so I'm just sitting on the loo, and all of a sudden, and this is talks about my wife's and my connection. I'm not sure if they did that or if it was just because we've had some amazing things between us. Then that's why the Sasquatch kind of brought us together.
Ah.
But I'm just sitting there, and I saw a holographic vision right before my eyes, like in full color, right? Like, you know, like they remember Michael Jackson and Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole. They did those. Do you know what I'm talking about? On stage, you can see the color, and it's like a. Michael Jackson did it too when he
Like
was
a
dead.
holograph, like many
A
lives.
holograph vision, yeah,
Yes.
in full color. So I'm just sitting there, and I saw like two twin flames, kind of the perfect classic vision of two twin flames, right? Looking at each other, you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
That classic interpretation of twin flames.
Yeah.
And the figure 8 was swirling, and I knew, and I had the knowing it was my wife and I. You know, I had that knowing too. You know what a knowing is. It's just you just know.
Of course.
So we're facing each other in full color, holographic vision, and this figure 8 was swirling around us, which is the infinity symbol or whatever, I guess, right?
Yes.
It's swirling around us and coming in closer and closer and closer to us with each rotation, and then it just goes right inside of us.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not sure if that's Sasquatch or something else, but.
Wonderful, wonderful. Michael, what do you have to add here?
Have you ever been to Edinburgh? Not to Edinburgh, to Manchester?
Yes.
What's it like?
It's great. It's amazing architecture, amazing historical architecture.
Well, it's pretty
everywhere.
industrial, right? It's not exactly.
Yeah,
the
well,
climax
depends
for
which
it.
part you go to. Yeah, and the people are some of the funniest people on the planet. Oh my God, the Mancunians.
I was talking to this guy. This was going back, I guess, 2014 or something. I was talking to this guy and because he got a hold of me on my channel, and he was talking about his experience in Manchester, and he's saying, you know, I live in Manchester, and there's no trees, there's no forest in the city part. You have to go miles and miles away. He said, but I was interested in the Sasquatch, and you know, I wanted to meet them, and by the airport there was this place where the road splits, and there was some trees right there. And he said you could pull in there and park and watch the planes go by, and so he went in there. I guess he got poked to go in there, and two Sasquatch met him in there, and the Sasquatch were like 9 feet tall. They weren't quite fully grown, and they were just like standing around on both, like rocking back and forth, and they're all excited because nobody had ever wanted to see them their whole life, you know, and for generations back. So I thought that was like outstanding. And then he told me this story about later on, a couple of weeks later. He lived in a flat, and he was on the second floor, and he lived on a flat, and he was living with his mother, and he said these two Sasquatch appeared out of nowhere in his flat, and his mother said to him, could you please tell them not to do that anymore? They wouldn't even fit in it. They had to hunch over like this to be in the flat because it only had an 8-foot ceiling.
Wow.
Who said that? His mother?
The kid's mother said,
that?
please ask them not to do that anymore because it disturbed her. But I thought that was a great story. There's lots of stories.
Wow.
There's no end of stories.
No end of stories. No, like I told you guys earlier, you've got a 4-hour, I think it was on Facebook Live, or it was definitely a Zoom. There's like you guys, a lady called Andrea Billups, which I thought was such a funny last name, such a great last name. And a guy called Jim calls himself a muggle. And I'm listening, I'm like 3 hours into it. And that, again, that's on your channel. And it's so interesting. Her story, Andrea's story of connecting to the Sasquatch and going into the forest and being respectful and meditating, putting her back against the tree, just being at peace with everything, and then starting to have her interactions. And for me, you know, from what I've learned and learning, the connection to them is going to be from a genuinely loving place. They're not going to rock up and then let you shoot them. And it's just ridiculous to think about that. Although having said that, there are some extremely nefarious, evil people on this planet who purposefully hunt them and try and take them out mountain by mountain, clan by clan, using often on-planet technology. That's the thing. That's happening. Very naughty of you.
Well, it's game over. Listen, the Sasquatch people and the star people are teaching humans telepathy.
Yes.
Right? And psychic abilities. And the Sasquatch are teaching people how to go invisible. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And remember what I said about remote viewing. If enough people get remote viewing and have telepathy, it's game over for the nefarious dark government. It's game over because you can just, you can remote view some dirty deed that the politicians are doing or some corporation is doing. Or you can just show up in their bedroom at night, say, hey, quit messing around, Monsanto or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Seriously,
and
it's true.
that's coming. That's on the books to happen.
I mean,
so it's just, and this is why they don't want to hear about psychic Sasquatch. Don't want to hear. They've been fighting the psychic phenomena, right? You want to know how far along they've been fighting against the psychic phenomena?
Yeah,
it's been since the Spanish Inquisition, which was 400 years before this country was even founded. You know what I mean? It was 400 years of burning witches in Spain and Italy and Germany and France. They were, and this was a reign of terror. Anybody who has any psychic abilities or anything like that, they would burn them or dunk them or whatever they did.
Yeah.
And this is to get everybody a subconscious shock, cultural shock, that the psychic is bad, the nature is bad, the herbalist is bad, the seers are bad, the visionaries are bad, any kind of that stuff is all bad and evil. And it's like, none of that stuff is bad. This elemental, the earth herself is an elemental. She's earth and water. She's rock and water. Earth, fire, air, and water, and the ether. Those are the elements. And she's an element. She's an elemental being. And the Sasquatch, the fairies, the gnomes, they're elemental beings. If you think about Sasquatch as an elemental being, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
They're magic. They can come and go. They can play tricks on you, all this stuff, and they're very loving and very kind, and they will helpful. They can heal you, all that stuff. If you think of them as an elemental, very high elemental being, like a fairy, it's just they're really big. Well, in Ireland, right? You have the Tuldanan.
Yes.
Remember the Tuldanan?
Yes.
What are they? They are fairies
Fairy
that are
people.
14 foot tall.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. You raise
one side of intelligence is a sense of humor.
There you go.
And the
Absolutely.
Sasquatch are really, really funny. They've got an amazing sense of humor. And laughter and humor and all that, here I go again, is a high vibration thing, right?
Definitely.
When you're on a high vibration, they can meet you better. If I'm talking about the situation in the world today, or and fear and whatever, Sasquatch they're not going to connect with me. They connect with you when you're closer to their level of their vibration, which is love, laughter, joy, all that stuff.
Which is the natural state of the human. This is the beings that we are. And like when the children come through, we don't have a problem telling them about fairies and gnomes and elves and pixies and angels and Sasquatch and Bigfoot and Yeti and all of that. Those amazing things. And then around 7, it's just smacked out of them, because that's how the ancestral programming has been happening, especially for over definitely the last 100 years, but definitely before. But let's just focus on the last 100 years. We would, at this point of evolution, we would be using Tesla's technology, the off-planet technology, to be taking our children in classrooms on a craft and flying to Jupiter for the day, because it's so easy to get there. It takes minutes. We've been lied to on so many different levels. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but it's true. It's so true. It is so true.
That's how the masses can be controlled by the elite few.
100%.
By all those lies that they've been perpetrating against us for forever and ever and ever. Once we,
this goes all the way back to you're talking about the 13th century, 14th century, because it was like 400 years that they did this. They would scare families and stuff. So this is not like something new.
No.
No.
Yeah.
By the way, can I mention, you said you were watching our show. We've got the Pork and Bean Show. We've got well over 100 shows now on the Pork and Beans group in Facebook. So
All from
please come
people
and
who
check
are
us out
friends
there.
with Sasquatch, which is different. These are people who are friends with Sasquatch, interacting with Sasquatch, have a spiritual connection with Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And it's like you're going to learn more about Sasquatch from people who are friends.
Yeah.
You know, than all the people out there who are afraid of Sasquatch,
Right.
how terrified when they were
Right.
17 and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well
So
over
it's-
100
You're going to
shows.
learn so much from them, from those.
Well over
stories.
100 shows and not one bit of fear in any of them. We don't talk about that because that's bullshit.
No, you guys, you know, sometimes like a couple of old farts and you're just sitting there hanging out and it goes up. And then the information that comes out of you is like, oh my God. And the guests that you have on, it's just fantastic. Please keep doing what you're doing.
I don't usually plug, I don't usually plug my own stuff because I don't make any money off it. Everything that I talk about, I do from my heart.
Oh.
Because it's what I'm driven to do, because that's the Sasquatch. That's why I represent them. But I will say, if anybody wants to check out my YouTube channel, we've got I do a deluxe edit of all the Pork and Bean shows on there. So we got well over 100 shows on there. And I've got maybe 320 or 30 videos, and some of them are just talking about the Sasquatch message, you know, my experiences with them, some of my stories and, you know, thoughts and stuff like that. And that's, may I mention the channel?
Yes, please. Yes.
It's called Sasquatch BC, The True Story, The Pork and Bean Show, because they're combined. So Sasquatch BC, The True Story, The Pork and Bean Show. And I'd love to have people come and check it out.
Definitely. I hope everyone just goes and subscribes. And that's what I'm watching. I'm watching you with that lady Andrea and that guy Jim, who calls himself a muggle, that 4-hour long. I'm just like, I'm 3 hours into it. It's just a really fascinating conversation. And this is a gift. You guys are a gift. I also want to again mention, you know, our friend Sunbow, True Brother. Please go and subscribe to his channel too. And it's certainly his website, because everything you could possibly want, his beautiful channel books from Sasquatch globally is on there too. So I feel really happy that I found the three of you. And I've been asking, you know, Spirit, bring me the people to my channel, that all in one place. We're going to break all the timelines into one. We talk about all the myths and legends. Everything we've been told is a lie, or you're crazy, or it's a fantasy. That's the lie. That is the lie. These beautiful beings of every size and color and dimension exist with us. Of course they do. Our natural human state is love and joy and happiness. We've just been put into a system that shuts us down. And I'm just so happy that you guys came and that you're just so great and so loving and, you know, share so many different experiences. It's such a gift. I'm so grateful to you. So, Michael, is there anything that you would like to share that you feel you haven't and you should?
Oh,
How about your channel?
I haven't gotten into how they taught me how to go invisible. I'll talk about that another time. But
No, please now.
Here's something that I think I'll leave people with, because I don't know if you're running out of time or what. But
What about your group?
How
about your group? Do you want people
with
to
the
join the group?
70,000
I don't care
people,
about
yes.
my group is for healing, which is a different topic altogether.
But it's so beautiful. It's all part of the mass healing that the whole world is in. So please do share.
Well, you know, maybe you and I should do a show on that, because I've got information and technology on healing that has never been on the planet before, and it's really powerful. So maybe we'll do a little show on that sometime.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say about the Sasquatch people is just to like twist the paradigm around, okay? Because we're very egocentric as humans. If you're willing to become a Sasquatch human, that means like no ego, right? In other words, that a Sasquatch looks at you like you are their human, just like we look at a dog and say, that's my dog, right? And we love our dog, we take care of our dog. If you can be in that kind of relationship with, because you're not going to be, that's my Sasquatch. That's not the way it works. It goes from higher intelligence and higher spiritual pressure to lower. So it is them adopting you into the family, them recognizing you as a brother, them you are their human.
But without judgment, though. They're not
No,
judging
with
it.
no judgment. This is like you're part of the, and when that happens, you become part of their family.
Yeah, that's so wonderful, so wonderful. I know you mentioned there were 48 different signs that Michael, 48 different signs or symbols of communication. You were saying before we started recording this broadcast.
I
Do you
said
remember?
that there's four. I've off, this is the back of an envelope. What do you call it? A list of the things that are the same between Sasquatch and the ET.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can read a few of them if you want.
Yes,
if it
please.
comes up.
Yes, please.
Okay, this is a short list of things the Star People and the Sasquatch have in common, like a back of an envelope. It's not official or anything. Although I got my data for the Star People from the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, so that data is good. So number one is they both have mind speak. Number two, they both can go invisible. Number three, they can be seen as animals or other things. Both of them can do that. Number four, they both, people report physical healings from Star People and from the Sasquatch people. Number five, they connect to humans for life. That's important, both the Sasquatch and the ET. Both make contact with humans at early childhood. Both experiences are not believed by family or friends. The same story. You see a UFO? No, that's impossible. You're crazy. You see a Sasquatch? No, you're crazy. So you're not made fun of. Both follow a family for several generations. There's a big connection there. Both ET and Sasquatch have been known to breed with humans. Both change lives for the better, around 80%. Both do not change people at all with contact, around 10%, and both are reported as changing people for the worse, like PTSD. There's the people who are scared of the Star Nations or scared of the Sasquatch, and they become whatever. Okay, then both have a reaction from people as family. Both are reported. If you're taken by the Star People, at some point you're going to say, well, they're my family. And it's the same thing with the Sasquatch. You're seen as family. Both give information about Earth's history. That's one of the things that Sumbo did, is he talked about, the Sasquatch talk about the whole history of the Earth, and the ETs have done that same kind of thing. Both talk about taking care of Earth much better. Both talk about Earth changes and bad times ahead. I'm sure everybody's heard about that. Both can walk through walls. Both can give the experience of being frozen or loss of control, like that in sleep or something, or they can just should be frozen. The experiences of both know and feel if they are close or around. The experiences can know when the ET's are around, and experiences can know when the Sasquatch are around. And Brian can talk about that. You can feel them. Both are seen on crafts by humans. Both are seen as balls of light that moves. Both of them, the Star Nations and the Sasquatch. Both the ET and the Sasquatch see humans as family, as brothers. Both teach mind speak to humans and other abilities. So, there's actually schools. The Sasquatch, not the Sasquatch, but the Star People actually take people to school to teach them mind speak and other abilities.
Is mind speak telepathy, Michael, in your opinion?
Is mind speak telepathy?
Yes.
Yes. And it's the full range of telepathy. It's clairaudience, clairsentience, whatever those things are.
People mistake that. They say that just somebody talking in your head is mind speak. It's also thoughts placed in your head. It's also guiding you places. It's them giving you a knowing, it's all connected. It's all.
Yeah.
And both the Star Nations and the humans, the Sasquatch and the Star Nation are teaching humans how to go invisible. You don't really think of it this way, but if you've been taken on a craft then you went from your bed through the wall up onto the craft and came back down. You didn't do that just like by bumping into the wall. You went invisible to do that, come back down.
Yeah.
I've been on craft a couple of times. One time I went up and down. Once that thing was there, I went up and down once under my own steam. That was pretty cool.
Hey, Beans,
Yeah.
on your list, you have that they can connect with you in your dreams. Have you put that on your list?
I forget, but that's also should be on there if I don't have it.
You don't add it on, yeah, because they can do that. When you have a dream with a Sasquatch, you know how some dreams are way more real. You just know it's not a regular dream. The Sasquatch can actually connect with you and communicate with you through your dreams. I'm sure that
Anyway, I'm not gonna read all 50 of these, but you get the idea. That they have the men in black. They both have men in black to cover up the situations. They're both slammed by the media. They both do healings on people. So it's just a lot. And they both have hoaxers. They both have people who are like the hoax UFO meeting things, and the hoax the Sasquatch thing, which is like the counter intel probe.
Right.
So just to make that connection between the Star Nations and the Sasquatch,
profound.
they're on the same team, doing the same agenda,
Yeah.
for the same reasons.
Loving humanity, trying to help humanity evolve and remember who we are and that they are part of our family.
I've actually had a healing, and I witnessed them giving a healing to somebody. We were all sitting around watching it.
Well, talk about the Tom Cantrell. You're gonna talk about that one? That's a good one. Because Tom Cantrell, because your wife was there in the same tent as him, right? And never mind, do whatever one you're thinking about.
Well, let me think now. Which one? Well, I mean, I'll do a real quick one, and then maybe I'll go to Tom Cantrell one. But for instance, with myself, with the world today, so you can't always just stay on that level. You seem to like you get higher and higher vibration, and then you have less hills and valleys. But it's a work in progress, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at one point, like because my wife and I can't be together because of the way the world is today. She's in the States and I'm in Canada, and we don't agree with certain things, so it makes it hard for us to be together. That was sort of a source of fear or whatever. And just one night I just said, I'm not myself. I went up into the woods and I said, I'm not myself, guys. And I call them guys because I treat them like family, and I just treat them like a person, right? Which is important too. Don't treat them like anything other than your friend and just somebody that you're friends with. And so I said, guys, I'm not myself. I take this fear away. And literally, I could feel the sensation of a light switch going off, and the fear was completely gone.
Oh, wow.
And it's really never returned since. Another one, I'll talk about the Tom Cantrell one another time, but another one, this lady came to one of my campouts, and when they're invited, they invite them. They seem to give everybody some kind of exactly what they need by opening their eyes, healing their hearts, something. It's always just a beautiful personal thing with each individual. Well, this lady who's got an amazing connection, her name is actually Coastal Chick, is what we call her. And she was at my camp out, and she hadn't told us at the time, but she was getting ready to go home because her back was just killing her. She had this terrible back pain or whatever, and I guess she's had that before. And actually, Ari is the guy who did it. He's healed her actually twice with this. Wow. So we're all sitting around, we're talking about it, and coincidentally, we're not talking about anything fear-based. We're all talking about them, connection, whatever. That's when they connect with you. So we're all sitting around in the circle. All of a sudden, she just said, "Oh my God!" And we all like watched her, like, and she couldn't believe it. She felt this energy coming up through her whole body, and it was working in a specific area of her pain, and it took her pain completely away. And she was like, she was fine the whole rest. They actually healed her right on the spot. And it's funny because when this lady and myself, we all connect with them differently. Her and I have some similarities. When we talked about RE and whatever, we could always like instantly, like the both of us could feel the exact same sensation of him listening in, his energy, his approval, his love. And it was, it's just so remarkable.
Mm.
And then
Wow.
quickly with Tom Cantrell, he had open heart surgery, basically, through energy. And my wife actually witnessed it. So they are healers.
It was made a sound too, didn't it? It was like some kind of buzz that everybody could hear.
Some kind of buzz, yeah. And my wife said, "What was that?" And Tom says, "It's coming from my chest." And he was ready to go to leave the camp and go to the hospital because he's got heart problems. And they did open heart surgery on him right there. You could hear the energy vibration or whatever. And the next day he was like, and for quite a while, he was like better than he had been in a long time.
That's just fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, guys. Any final words, Michael? Beans from the Pork and Beans
No,
show?
it's just enjoy the ride. This is all part of the package. You know, everybody's awakening, and you know, we're not alone, and that's a good feeling. You know.
Yeah.
And thank you for what you do. You're one of these people who you're kind of spiritually awakened and aware, and then you decided to show the paths to awakening. And all your shows are showing like these beautiful scenes. Well, look, there's this mermaids over here and these star nations over there, and you know, Sasquatch out there in the woods, and you know, you're just kind of showing all the different levels of things that are going on and that are touching you, which makes it interesting.
Yes.
You're doing better than we are in terms of
Oh.
views and eyeballs.
Well, I have agreements with my benevolent beloveds, you know, here and there, and they totally guide me to find the right people. And I trust, and every day or every week, I sit with people like you guys, blessed beloveds who love the Sasquatch, for example, and have real true life one-to-one experiences and come in this place of truth. Because like I said to you guys earlier, whatever's happened on the planet, all the timelines are collapsing into one. And now we are all massively coming together. And those that saw fairies or mermaids or Sasquatch that then said, no, I'm crazy, that was my imagination. Now we invite them to awaken and open up, because everything that's ever happened to us is within our cellular memory in our body. So even if we don't see it with the eyes, we feel it, we know it, we connect to it. So absolutely. And so, you know, my subjects, yes, they are vast, and we just all come together at the same time. I'm pretty sure you'll have a lot more people now coming over to you guys, looking at Sunbow, True Brother, and his work too, and many others, many others.
Pork and Beans group. There's a Pork and Beans group on Facebook. That's probably the easiest way to go.
Pork and Beans group on Facebook. Okay, guys. All right. And
Pork and
Brian,
Beans,
is there
yeah.
anything final that you would like to leave with us?
I would just say people got to realize to quit living the lie that we have been told forever about separation, fear, hatred, judgment. That's the key to the conscious shift. That's what's going to put the elite. They won't be able to do what they do because we have the power. And once we realize and we can walk into that power, that's all over for them. That's the big message of the Sasquatch and the Star Nations people. That's why they're here right now, to reawaken us to who we truly are. And that's what I call the core truths. So
It's all about love. And the other thing is, if I was the last word, I would say, heal your past trauma, heal your generational trauma, heal your incarnational trauma, because you don't want to bring any of that junk to the next level. You know, you don't want to take it even into the next life.
Yeah.
You gotta reset everything. And if we do that well, then the rest is going to be relatively easy. We're still carrying baggage from who knows, you know.
Yeah.
I can remember baggage from the beginning of creation.
Goodness me. Goodness me. You guys are so wonderful, so beautiful. I'm so honored to have spent this time with you. We've gone over a couple of hours, and the content, the images that you shared, Brian, thank you so much. The knowledge that you have, Michael, just so lovely. I'm so touched. I'm so honored to have you here. And thank you so, so much. And to you beautiful people out there, I know that you're going to be touched on a soul level, a mind level, and a spirit level to hear what Brian and Michael have to share from the Pork and Bean show. if you continue your journey, guys, jump across to their channel and really, really get lost and absorb all the information there. Like these guys, Pork and Bean Show, they don't get a penny for what they do, neither do I. We're all in this to love. We're all in this to bring information and to help everybody awaken. Remember, if you had an imagination as a child, you have that imagination now, because imagination is how we bring the information. And so that gets shut down as a kid, but it's always there. It's always been with you, and it is asking to awaken within you. Guys, thank you so much.
And please come and check my YouTube channel out, because I could talk for weeks about this. So this is just like scratching the surface of the surface, right?
Indeed.
So
I didn't tell you about how to go invisible. We'll have to do that another time.
Oh, that would
So,
be incredible. Going invisible, yes.
Sasquatch BC, the true story on YouTube. Like I said, like you said, I don't make anything off it. The only thing I make off it is from my heart to you. So,
That's
and
so beautiful.
yeah. So please check that out too. And thank you so much for having us.
Of course, it's been my absolute joy. What a way to spend a Sunday afternoon with you, Sue. Thank you so much. Very, very
How about
much.
this one? You remember this? Winchester Cathedral. Remember that song? Remember Winchester? Did you hold your nose when you did that? Remember that song?
Oh my word! Yes, indeed.
You remember that?
Yes. Da, 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 da.
But we're bringing you up. We're not bringing you down.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Oh, great. Michael, Harrell, and Brian Bland, you guys are a kick in the pants and just so full of love. Thank you so much. To the audience that will watch this, the many beautiful people that will come, I send you my love, and I'll see you soon.